Politics is nothing but the political behavior of individuals and the society. There can be no politics in the absence of communication among the members of the society. This communication is largely on political matters. How the society is to be governed, what type of the state or polity is to be shaped, who are to be the rulers and who the ruled, the functions and duties and the authority of the state, the limit of that and this authority, the role of the individual in the state and his rights and duties, the end of the state, the happiness and welfare of, and all of them. All these are some of the important issues which do require deliberation and discussions. Since every individual is affected by the politics of his or her country, it is but right and proper that he must have a say in his political life. He must be free to express his views on political matters. That's why the concept of freedom of speech and expression has come to be treated as a political concept, and freedom of expression has come to be regarded as a political necessity, one of the essential ingredients of individual freedom and as a sheet anchor of democracy. The freedom of speech and expression in modern times has come to be viewed as the freedom of the press, since it is through the press that the people make their voice heard and views understood throughout the country and the world. In modern times, indeed, the press has to come to perform a number of functions. It enlightens the people about the various politics and the programs of the government. It disseminates information of various sorts, thereby keeping the people posted with what is going on all around them. Its piercing eyes delve deep into the act of commission and omission of the government and its functionaries, bring out the truth which otherwise could never have been brought to the surface. It prepares the groundwork for the people to evaluate the performance of the government. The government too thus knows the pulse of the nation through the press, understands its moods and makes necessary changes in the politics, programs or the legislation. It may be recalled that during the prime ministership of Rajiv Gandhi, the defamation bill was dropped by the Indian government in deference to the sensibilities of the people made vocal through the press, despite the fact that the measure had been passed in the Lok Sabha by an overwhelming majority. The press is a handy and more potent medium than any other medium for the people to voice their grievances through against the acts, policies, and programs of the government. The people through the press keep the government on its toes, which too, in its turn, make amends whenever necessary. The press is thus a helping and not a hindering factor for the government. It promotes its stability when it works, warns it in tears, pulls it down if it falls in its basic duties. A free press is thus a very potent factor in the political life in our country. From what had been said before, it is evident that the press performs important functions. It has become the lifeblood of democracy and an unavoidable and essential factor of political and social life of a country. It is imperative, therefore, that it must be granted the largest measure of freedom so as to enable it to do its duties faithfully, efficiently, and effectively. Though it is not formally recognized as a part of a political system, yet since it winds such a significant indirect social influence, it has rightly been termed as a fourth estate, the others being the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. A free press, therefore, is a sine non of a civilized democracy. A censored press cannot deliver the goods. A press working under the artificial restrictions imposed by the government in order to hide its failures and aberrations from the public will present to the people only a distorted view of things. Isn't it true? Share your views with a yes or no in the comment section below. Falsehood will pass for truth, and truth itself will become the first casualty in the conflict of interest between the government and the people. A people's government will never think in terms of muzzling the press. In order that the press may work without fear or favor in the overall interest of the people, its freedom will have to be carefully safeguarded and faithfully nurtured. But the freedom and responsibility go all together. Rather, we can say freedom and responsibility are coterminous. In order that the press may enjoy largest measure of liberty, it must function with a sense of responsibility. Freedom is not something absolute, it is always a relative concept. Unless it is accompanied with a sense of responsibility, it tends to become license. The press must work under self imposed restrictions and restraints. The ends it pursues must be noble. The means it employs to achieve those ends should be noble too. The press must evolve a code of conduct under which it must work in the interest of the people. It owes allegiance to the society whose mouthpiece it claims itself to be, and not to the whims and caprices of the owners and editors. Lately, it has been seen that a minuscule section of media spreads fake news and falsehood to serve its own nefarious ends. It is a highly despicable and deleterious exercise and is most detrimental to the society. There is a need to curb and control such elements functioning in the name of the press, misleading, misguiding, and misinforming people by indulging in yellow journalism. And spreading falsehood must invite strict control from concerned authorities. A free press indeed gives meaning and content to the democracy. It enhances people's power several fold and enables them to have an effective control over the government. The rights and liberties of the people are safeguarded by the press. The press certainly gives life and vigor to politics, national and international. A free press is thus the very lifeblood of the politics and the soul of the democracy.